All right, thank you so much. So yeah, I'm Chris Anderson. I'm a director of product management here at Trend Micro, and happy to share with you the Trend Vision One companion. As we're just starting out with the companion, there are some key focal points in this preview that we have out today, and so I'm going to show you three key features that are available in the first release, which is the user-friendly alert explanation, the script and command decoding and translation, as well as the ability to use the AI to help sculpt queries for threat hunting. And so I'll show how you can do that today. As we're getting started here, first I want to show you how to enable it if you haven't already in Vision One. So by going down to the account icon down here, it looks like a cog. You just click or scroll over that and then click on the support settings. Within support settings, you're going to see the Trend Vision One companion currently in preview. And you can learn more. It's going to take you over, show you some more detail of what this looks like. When you're ready, and if you would like to, just click on Enable Companion, or you can just slide this little slider off to the left side. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into first a workbench that I've already opened. And if you haven't gone into a workbench before, of course, you go to X and then workbench. And for those that are new to Trend or are just taking a look at the features today, the workbench is where we display XDR alerts. So as soon as we match on something that's happening in the environment that we feel you should be aware of, we create a workbench on that. And these workbenches consist of users, devices, servers, identities of other sorts. There's a lot that goes into a workbench, and sometimes it's quite complex. And when you're looking at an attack so holistically, sometimes it's confusing where to start, right? And so I have an example here of a possible advanced persistent threat that's within the environment. And hey, at top level glance, because Vision One is bringing you so much information, sometimes it's a little hard to digest and get exactly down to what you need to do next. Of course, we use highlights, and across the bottom, we have these highlights here that lead through and provide different information about the different stages of the attack. But down on the right, we have the companion. So now that I've enabled it, this little icon will show up. When I click on that, I have already given it a query. And so if I scroll up here, I already asked, explain this alert. And so when I typed that in and had press enter, it brought me the summary, short description of what exactly is happening here. The impact scopes, it pulled it from across all the different stages and let me know, hey, there's an account here. It's Sam, it's under Shockwave. There's a host, there's an email address involved, actually two different email addresses involved. What are the indicators? It pulls back all the indicators and gives the details there. And what Mitre techniques were leveraged here. Now, another thing that you could do is you could click the, what should I do next? But say that as a junior SOC analyst, or maybe you're just not 100% sure what's going on, you can copy these Mitre techniques. You can say, what is Mitre T1547.001? Now, during the preview, responses are slightly delayed, so I apologize that for the demo here. So if it does take a little while, I apologize. But it did come back and it pulled up the Mitre information for you, right? So it tells you what is the sub-technique, how can it be leveraged, right? So you can naturally speak to it, ask more information about processes, more information about, the Mitre techniques, tactics. Say that I went up to the top and I'm going to click on, actually, I don't have it here, but what should I do next? So after you've done a explain this alert, right, which I already had up for you. And I brought that up just because, like I said in preview, it's running a little slow at the moment. If I do explain this alert, it's going to explain it and then give me a button to look further into what should I do next here. So I'm going to go through that process. But as you're waiting for this to query and as you're looking, as it's calculating things and bringing back the information, you can go through here and see other things that you might want to investigate. So as I'm looking down, there's a spear phishing link, rarely accessed and noteworthy domain. I have uncommon PowerShell parameters. So what is that about?
Hey, Chris. So,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Well, while we're waiting here, we had a question around, is there some color coding options here in the Workbench that would show the attack progression?
Yeah, so it doesn't show, at the moment, the Workbench that I have open doesn't show the details about what's highly suspicious or confirmed to be malicious. But what you would have is color coding in here, especially around the icons. If there was a orange or a red, you can also, when you're looking at execution profiles, this is the typical EDR type view with, like legacy EDR vendors. You can click on the check execution profile. It would show you this process did this other thing. That also does the highlighting of red if it's confirmed malicious, orange if it's suspicious, and then gray like this if we just don't have complete information about it. So I did click the what should I do next? And within that, it says, as a cybersecurity consultant, I would recommend the following emergency response actions. I would isolate the affected system. So in this case, it would be Nimba. So I would go in and isolate that. It looks like in this demo environment, I don't have the isolation option, but that's typically a feature that's available. Collect and preserve all relevant data. So it goes through each step, right, to really help those junior analysts understand where should I go from here. Now, another thing during the investigation, on the left side, I had shown this command, and we can see PowerShell doing some base 64 encoding. So if I right click on this, and again, this will take a second to fully go through, but explain this command. You see this here under the companion on my bottom left. So I'm going to click on explain this command. And being that that was an encrypted PowerShell command, let's give companion here a second, because what it's doing is it's going to decrypt that PowerShell command, and then it's going to explain exactly what that command is doing. And this does take a few seconds in order to do that.
Well, Chris, if it's okay, I'll jump in with a couple questions while we're waiting.
Thanks.
So there is a question around availability, of companion. Is it an included capability, or does it require a credit purchase? And then another question as far as availability, is it available in all regions?
Yeah. So right now, Companion AI is in preview, which means it's available to anybody to leverage today. When it comes to paying, typically the process that we go through is first perfect it and then talk about monetizing it if it makes sense to do so. So at this time, we don't have pricing information or even details on if we are charging and how much we're charging. At this point, we're just trying to find the value, and we're trying to hear from customers and prospects if they really see the value and where we can improve upon that value. It is available across all regions now. We did a slow rollout, and we started in one region and branched over all of the Vision 1 environments. It does follow the GDPR practices and data sovereignty practices that we have in trend today. It is not using the open GPT capabilities out there. This information does not go outside of trend It's not going to the public chat GPT system in order to do stuff like this. So we had to be very security minded, and that's why we're focusing on these few use cases at the moment and continuing to expand, because we are doing this all in-house for security purposes. So if I scroll up, what I can see here now is this PowerShell command that I asked it to analyze. And if we scroll down, the given command is a PowerShell command to execute a script. The script is encoded in base 64. We saw that, right? That's nothing new. It contains various commands that are executed in a sequence to perform a specific task. So if we go down, all right, so to decode the script, we need to extract the base 64. And it has done that. And this is the script that it came out with. See, all done. Sounds good, right? You know what to do from here. No, I'm just kidding. You don't know what to do from here. So when we scroll down more, the decoded script contains the following commands, and it goes through each command and explains what it's doing. This command initializes two variables. This one has a file name in it of ds7002.pdf.link. Then it goes through and checks to see if it exists on the system or not. Yeah, so this goes through deep details about what is happening. Now, if you didn't want to go through and read all 10 steps, just go down to the conclusion here. The intention of this command seems to be creating a shortcut file and executing its contents using the default program associated with the file type. However, the actual content of the file is not clear from the given command, and it could be a malicious script or payload. The evidence of this suspicion is the use of base 64 encoding, right? You don't legitimately base 64 things generally, unless you're trying to hide some credentials, maybe, for an administrative task, but usually it's not encoded. So they're trying to hide the actual script and the creation of a file with a suspicious name in the temporary folder. So it's recommended to investigate further and analyze the actual content of the file before executing it. So very clear details. We're continuing to expand this, continuing to expand what you can do here within the workbenches. Now, what I was going to do next is I wanted to show you how we leverage this in search. So I'm going to go to XDR and search. And you'll notice this sticks around with me. You can minimize it if you want, but within the XDR tools, this is where we have this today. You'll see the icon continue to be persistent. Now, it doesn't show up on the Risk Insights or some of the other tools. However, we do plan in the future that the Vision 1 companion will be all of Vision 1, not just XDR, but we do want to focus on our XDR customers at this time. Now, when you get into here, we've done a lot of things to make threat hunting easy in our XDR search. And everything from being able to sculpt exact queries using different field names and providing what those field names are. But in addition, we added the capability of just writing a query itself. Show me everywhere who am I is ran, right? You don't have to put command or anything like that. But with Companion, it makes it even more simpler. So if I go in and click on Companion here, you can see it already gave me two suggestions. Search for all elements with the destination port set to 80, or actually it looks like it's told me, or elements and then detections, two different things, activity data versus detections that happened. But maybe I just want to see all the malware events that have happened throughout my environment. So I'm going to search for malware events in detections. And what it will do is it will give me the query on exactly what I need to do, and it gives me a button to be able to execute that. So it's looking through, and again, preview. It would be much faster as it goes out of preview. There we go. And so this is the exact query that will allow you to pull up all that information. I click Add to Search Query, and it automatically searched for me. I didn't have to press the search button, but now it has pulled up all of my malware detections. Okay, well, That's malware detections, right? And if you're just a legacy AV product just focused on malware, then there you go. You have your malware. But let's look a little bit deeper. I'm wondering about my PowerShell usage. So let me search for PowerShell usage. Let's say with a high risk level, right? Because I don't general PowerShell usage, I don't really care about. Let me see what's the real risky stuff. Let's see if we have any in this environment. So it is sculpting the query based on the information that I provided. And when it's done, I'll get that nifty add to search query. Click on that. And it has modified my search query. There we go. And I'm just going to minimize because I want to be able to see some details here. So as I go down, it looks like I have multiple machines that have some PowerShell usage. I'm going to open this one up. Oh yeah, there's definitely something going on here. I see web client. I see a JPEG being loaded, it looks like. And so I can see that PowerShell usage. This is something that matches multiple Mitre and what we call SAE or XSAE detections. These are trend micros detections above what Mitre is showing, a little bit more detailed in certain areas. And I can see all the details about the payload. I can actually see the script that's being ran here. And all this information is here in the threat hunting of XDR search. So in here, I might, again, not know what this means, right? What exactly is this doing? So you can right click, you can hit that explain command, and it is now going through and generating the reply. So, not base 64 encoded, so that's great. It doesn't have to decode first, but there is a lot of detail in here. So it is in the process of analyzing that. And it will return with the results. Do we have another question that came up?
We have a lot of questions around being able to access the companion, which I think would take you out of this screen. So let's come back to those.
Okay, I'll come back to that. All right, so I have the command that we are looking at, and in the explanation, it says that it performs several actions, including importing an AppV client module, syncing AppV publishing server, creating a temporary local.link file, downloading another file from a remote server, and then adding a registry key. And so, wow, that's way more than I thought I saw. I thought I saw some image loading and a few other things, but this gave a lot more detail. As we go along, it says exactly where things are being created and dropped. There is a delete on close, which deletes the file when it's closed, so it does its self cleanup. And there's some more details here. So you notice it's not structured the exact same way as the one that we ran out of the Workbench, right? It's structured slightly different, and that's just because it didn't have to go through, a step-by-step like that with the decoded PowerShell. But here we see conclusion. It's used to download a file from a remote server, execute it on the local machine, uses the web client class to download, and it executes a DLL file using the run DLL 32.exe. And we can see it's suspicious because it runs in a hidden window. It also, downloads and executes code. So to me, that's definitely potentially malicious. The evidence for this is that it uses the window style hidden parameter. And it also creates a registry key that points to a downloaded file. And so all of this is determined about this PowerShell and brought to light. So that's just a quick look at what we have in terms of the friendly explanation of a threat. And, if I scroll up, I have my whole details here, right? So we first looked at, going into a Workbench and saying, hey, can you explain this alert? What exactly happened? We got that information back. We then did a couple different PowerShells in which we said, hey, can you explain this command? And so if I scroll down, we will see, oh, we also did what should I do next to help guide those initial SOC analysts. Explain this command, where we went in depth in two different ways to see how something is being executed, what a PowerShell is actually doing. This really helps if you're not a system administrator, but you're a security person, right? So allowing some more detail on exactly what's happening. And then I showed how you can leverage the search capabilities to be able to create a query and be able to search here. Show me PowerShell with high risk that are highly risky, for example. But let me go and answer some of those questions. And one of the questions that came up was, again, how do we enable this? Well, when you go into Vision 1, you go to this gear on the bottom left, which is your account menu. You click on support settings. And since it is in preview, it is right here at the top. And if you want to get a little more detail, you can click on learn more. It'll give you some of those examples. A couple of use cases even that I didn't share with you today, which is how to search for compromised 3CX application file indicators, and it will sculpt that query, or explain this cybersecurity alert. We did cover that, but you can ask some general cybersecurity questions and it will also answer those for you.
Hey, Chris, to follow up on that, and I have several questions related that they're not seeing this option within the support settings. So if that's the case, what is their next step?
Yeah, if that is not showing up for you, open up a support case. We'll be happy to make sure you have access to that preview. It should have been rolled out globally, but sometimes there's different opt-ins, opt-outs, and stuff like that that may affect it. So open up a support case and we'll make sure you get taken care of.
Okay, very good. There was a rather technical question around, do we block outbound connections for PowerShell to non-trusted locations?
So that's not a companion AI specific question. But what Vision 1 allows you to do is we have a lot of different things like malware fingerprinting that we do. We have our WRS, which is our web reputation system, to be able to determine if communications are going out to different botnets, or if it's going out to known command and control, those type of things. In Vision 1, we show you if it's making a remote connection, right? It's about the visibility. And so what you saw in the Workbench was, hey, this happened. But when you add on Trend Micro's protection solutions, like say you add on the Apex One or Cloud One workload security, for example, then you can implement preventive controls at the time. And that's when you can use like our WRS, for example, the web reputation system, to say, don't allow suspicious network connections. And same with the malware fingerprinting. Don't allow connections that are, I'm trying to remember how it's written in the UI, but don't allow connections to that look like malware communications, right? So if the communication starts to become, downloading of a file and execution and whatnot, it can actually stop it. So that's where the prevention technologies come in place. And of course, all that ties into Vision 1.